Part 3. "We don't have time to waste gallivanting around the forest," the doctor was saying angrily through the open back window of the cab. "I'm telling you I saw something reflect the sun," Samantha replied from the middle seat, looking over her shoulder to meet the owlish man's face from where he sat in the back. "Plus, we've got nothing but time," Chin shrugged, glancing back quickly before returning his eyes to the trail. "It's not like we have to be somewhere at a given time. There are no deadlines anymore." Mark leaned out the window in the far passenger seat, trying to see what Samantha might have seen. "Could be a house out here in the woods," he shrugged, sliding back into his seat. "I think it's worth looking into." "I think you're right about this house idea," Chin said ironically as the trail suddenly widened and split ahead of them. One fork continued on as dank as before. The other was almost as well kept as a driveway, leading off to the right where the suspected house might be. The doctor peered at the trail, then at the hillside where Samantha had seen something. "Fine," he sighed, sitting with his back leaning against the bedside and waving them onward. The truck rumbled up the driveway. "It's certainly well kept," Chin remarked of the neat trail, where tree branches and underbrush had been scrupulously cut to maintain perfectly straight lines. Though there couldn't have been any upkeep lately, the path was barely overgrown. It hardly even looked neglected. "Someone's got to be up here," Samantha said tensely, almost as if praying. "If not, then there's at least shelter up here," Mark tried to reply comfortably. He was still shooting looks at Chin, unsure of his driving, to say the least. The path curved gently in a sweeping arc up a shallow slope to the crest of a hill, widening into a clearing, ending in a turnout in front of a cabin. It wasn't so much a forest cabin as a condo in the woods, with a modern sloping angled roof and a wall that was all windows, showing the open floor plan of a 2-story structure with a spiral staircase twining around the central support beam. "Wow," Samantha said dumbly, her sentiment shared by the rest of the group. "Yeah, I'd say we found something." Chin laughed a bit before setting the truck in park and hopping out of the driver's seat. "Do you suppose it's locked?" the doctor asked, vaulting the side of the truck and landing clumsily on the ground beside Samantha as she slid out the driver's side door, leaving Mark to exit the passenger side alone. "One way to find out," Mark shrugged, picking up a rock and going up to the front door, ornate woodwork, with glass pieces patterned together like a puzzle. He tried the handle. Then he tried the rock. The door shattered, and after a lady's first sweep of his hand from Mark, Samantha passed through the shattered remains. The doctor followed, then Mark, cutting off Chin as the boy was about to enter. "Hello?" Samantha called into the open floor plan. No reply came back to her. "No one here?" Chin asked, peering up at the high ceilings and recessed lighting. "There's a car in the back behind the house," the doctor pointed, and through another wall of windows they could see a back porch that led to a carport off to the left. "Might mean something," he shrugged, pulling out a handkerchief and polishing his dusty glasses. Then he pulled a surgical mask from his pocket and put it over his mouth and nose. Offering the handkerchief to the girl, he bade everybody cover their face somehow. Mark and Chin both pulled out tattered bandanas, and the four began to search the house. The kitchen was devoid of people, but the hum of a refrigerator led them to a wonderful oasis of salvageable food. It was easy to see beyond the kitchen bar that the first floor was empty, as the whole floor was an entire room in itself. Even careful checks behind the furniture and decorations were fruitless. The second story proved a more tedious search. There were rooms and doors here, closets and bathrooms, bedrooms, studies, a library. Each door was opened slowly, with trepidation, as though a monster might attack at any moment. The house was dead silent. The last room was the master bedroom, the bed of which was neatly made with a fluffy down comforter, and a little boy sleeping among the pillows. "I don't believe it," Mark whispered, pulling down his bandana. "He's just been living up here all alone all this time?" "Can't be," Chin hissed, taking a tentative step inside the room. The little boy slept on. "Someone had to drive him up here at the very least." "Maybe they left him," Mark shrugged, sidestepping into the room and leaning against the wall beside the door. Samantha tiptoed over to the bed and looked down over the child, holding her breath so as not to disturb him. She looked up to the others. "But if he's fine, then that means we can stay here and be fine too," she whispered hopefully. "No." The doctor's voice seemed loud after all the whispering. He sounded hollow and dead, standing at the door that linked the bedroom to the master bath. "We can't." He didn't explain, but motioned for the others to put their face coverings back on and see for themselves. A gelatinous tangle of arms and legs, entrails, hair, and bile lay rotting in the jacuzzi-sized tub. The bone that could be seen was tinted a rich shade of leafy green. The flesh was so dark it looked almost black. It took a full 10 seconds for anyone to realize that those were people in the tub, or the remains of. Samantha turned on the spot and vomited on the plush carpeting, the doctor's handkerchief falling from her face, stained with bile. Mark knelt down and put an arm around the girl, rubbing her back comfortingly. The doctor shook his head, then closed the door, and for what it was worth, locked it. "We can't stay here," the doctor said, his voice and hands shaking. He wouldn't look down at Samantha and the mess she had made on the floor, for he knew that if he saw her being sick, he would be too. Never had he seen something so horrible. Not even back at the hospital, when he was still helping to treat the infected masses. He'd seen green cadavers used for rapid study. He'd even been in the first group to receive vaccinations against the green. But none of that mattered now. He still felt like he could fall dead, green and dead, at any time after seeing that bathroom. Chin was gently shaking the little boy awake. "Hey, buddy," he spoke softly, calm though his eyes were haunted. "We have to go. You're going to come with us now, all right?" "Are you here to help Mommy and Daddy?" the child asked sleepily, rolling over and sitting up. "Your parents don't need our help," the doctor replied, his voice hollow, not meeting the boy's eyes. "We can't help them anymore." "Are they gone?" the boy asked, looking around the room as if hoping to see them. "They went to sleep. They said I was a big boy and couldn't sleep in the room with them. They still haven't woken up." "Hey, buddy." Chin tried to smile under his bandana, glad that it shielded his weak attempt to look happy. "What's your name, bud?" "Jackie." The boy began to sniffle, as if he understood why he was being distracted from the subject of his parents. "I'm Chin. It's nice to meet you, Jackie." "Can I call you Jack?" Chin asked, laying a hand on the boy's shoulders in an attempt to comfort him. "Uh-huh." Tears were welling up in the child's eyes now. "How old are you, Jack?" 7, came the reply through the boy's sobs. "Well, that's great." Chin squeezed Jack's shoulder with both hands, and the boy could feel that he was shaking too. "Come here." He hugged the boy, arms wrapping easily around his thin frame, and picked him up. "He could be infected," the doctor said, his voice distant and almost professional. "We're taking him," Chin proclaimed. "He can't stay here." "And neither can we," Mark agreed, pulling Samantha to her feet. "Let's just raid the fridge and get out." Chin hefted the boy in his arms, so that he was more comfortable to hold, carrying him out of the room and towards the stairs. "We're going for a ride in a truck, Jack," he said, trying to sound happy. "Have you ever ridden in a truck?" No." Jack's sobs lessened, but his tears still flowed. "Daddy just has the little car from work." "That's great. Then you'll have fun." Chin and Samantha ignored the kitchen and went straight to the truck with Jack, while Mark and the doctor found boxes to throw food into. "You can sit up front with me," Samantha said, trying to sound bright, trying to follow Chin's lead to keep the boy calm. But tears lingered in her eyes too, and a vile taste burned at the back of her throat, making it hard to smile. The 5 left that place as untouched as they could leave it, with broken glass in the entryway, a rifled-through kitchen, and 2 green corpses moldering in a perfect ruin.